Ladies and gentlemen, this is Commander Ascorbius. A few days ago, Frontier Developments released an announcement on their forum about the release schedule planned for Elite Dangerous for the next 18 months. And it's gotten quite a few people rattled. That's a pretty large understatement in some parts of the community. There are even content creators who've had success in the Elite Dangerous community who've taken their leave from the game, citing various things which I won't go into. A person's reasons for playing or not playing a game are entirely theirs. The fact that there won't be another major update until the second half of 2020 on the surface looks bad. It's very easy to second guess when armed with a handful of facts. We do have to be careful when making guesses about the capacity of developers or the workload ahead of them, as without insider knowledge it would be pure and unhelpful speculation. After all, we have no idea what they're building, so how could we know for sure what's happening inside the Frontier headquarters, or if it's worth the wait? And I think the uncertainty is a factor here. Some might be upset because they expected certain issues to be fixed, some of which, as I'm reminded of whenever I assert, albeit without qualification, that they're on it. If the bug has been raised, it'll get fixed, only for sometimes issues to remain unfixed for a few years. Some players might express the worry that this list is mounting and they wouldn't want to wait until 2020 for them to be addressed. Or it could be argued that given the stated size of the development team and the condition of certain aspects of the game, that effort should be spent to add smaller features to move things along, or to complete things that are seemingly in an incomplete state, or to build more content for players to experience. Gee, that Thargoid story's unfolding a little slowly, or words to that effect. All of these arguments from the outside are perfectly reasonable and come from the desire for the game to be the best it could be. Most of us are seasoned players with many hours invested in the game, and I use that word invested deliberately. As for some of us, Elite is pretty much the only game we play, and it's easily to become quite attached, getting caught up in the hype, and for some, becoming a little upset when the delivered game doesn't quite live up to the expectations it seemed to promise. Well, when we put it in this light, it sounds foreboding, right? I should be reaching for that uninstall button and freeing up some disk space. But no, I don't think so. I don't think that's what I want to do. You see, even though I've not been playing the game as much as I used to, I'm not burned out on the game. Real life has put the brakes on some things for me, and I'm getting out of quite a painful year end. So it's not Elite. I enjoyed the Beyond update. Even though some features shipped in a poor state, they were patched, and they're a lot of fun. Yes, the game has bugs, but if you show me a piece of software with the equivalent complexity without bugs, I'll eat a hat. Okay, the hat will be made out of cake. I'm sure of my position, I'm not crazy. But the point is, Frontier have been releasing updates to Elite for a few years now. It's getting better and better while becoming bigger and bigger. Last year was the release of the Beyond update. It was broken down into 4 parts and released pretty much quarterly, although some of these updates were a little light on content. All in all, it was a decent update. Frontier solidified some gameplay aspects which were lacking. They updated a lot of stuff, added a scenario system which can only mean more scenarios in the future, and added a bunch of stuff to the background simulation, including a Thargoid incursion state. The Thargoid story is progressing. While most commanders are out on Distant Worlds 2 expedition. If the Earth burns, I'll blame you, Dr. Kai. Even though the updates were spread out over the year, the main and the biggest part of the update was being developed for quite some time, around 14 months. And smaller pieces of content were gradually released during the quarterly updates while the main work continued. The second half of 2020 is around 15 months away, and Frontier have also stated that there will be quality of life updates released during that time. Bug fixes will be regular, there will be updates every 3 or 4 months, and the dev team will be supporting the background simulation, community events, goals, and so on, with client or server updates in some cases. They did state that the updates will not be as big as the Beyond quarterly updates, but apart from that, it sounds a lot like the Beyond schedule. So what can we expect? Well, to avoid speculation, we should talk about the things that we do know. There's a sizable list of features which have been mentioned by Frontier in the past, which will need quite a lot of work. Atmospheric planetary landings with cities, flora and fauna. This is a particular high hope for me, especially if they leverage the work they've done in other games. The fact that the Ice Planet update wasn't released lends more evidence to an update which includes more than just a shader update or rock scatter system improvement. Gas giants and fleet carriers. Again, fleet carriers were supposed to arrive in Q4, but they were postponed. Space legs keeps being mentioned in the community, based on an old design idea. It keeps surfacing. However, I'll be very surprised if it's part of this update. Space legs will be an entirely different game, a first-person shooter basically. They take a lot of work to build though, and it would be a staggering amount of work to make the detailed assets which can survive the very close inspection. I'm looking at you, Jiggly Station Floor. 18 months of development time is a sizable chunk, and with it you can do a lot of work. The work isn't simple though, and involves a lot of people. No matter what they've decided on, the work will be broken down and split between disciplines: coding, graphics, sound, and testing. Coding is split up between game client code for PC, Xbox and PS4, and networking and server code for cloud servers. Also any additional internal tooling and engine work needed. They don't use Unreal or Unity. Frontier have their own engine called Cobra, which they enhance for each game they make. Graphics covers modeling, animating, texturing and shader programming. Then there's lighting, effects such as particles and explosions, engine trails, weapon projectiles and so on. Sound involves the spooky ambient audio creation, dynamic sounds and music, not to mention live action voice and processing. Then there's testing. Each of these platforms with a lot of test cases to cover. So whatever their feature they're working on, given the fact that they were able to produce the Beyond update with all the tasks mentioned above, there's every reason to believe that their statement that it's going to be the single most impactful update the community has seen is accurate. I've no idea what they're going to build. I do know that Frontier are a company of great people who love what they do, so for me, I'll be sticking around for as much time as I can making content for you lovely people. So have a good time and fly aimless.